Being surrounded by love and still feeling empty inside is one of the most isolating experiences a person can have. From the outside, it looks confusing. You have people who care, who show up, who offer warmth and attention, and yet, inside, there's a hollow space that doesn't seem to fill. It's quieter, deeper, and far more common than we realize. The problem is not always the absence of love. Sometimes the problem is that the brain struggles to register love even when it is genuinely present. Love is not only something that happens between people, it is also something that happens inside the mind. Your brain interprets love through the lens of past experiences, core beliefs about yourself, and long-standing expectations. These factors quietly shape how love is perceived, so even when love is clearly offered, the inner experience may not match the outer reality. This leads to an important and difficult question. If love is present, why doesn't it feel that way? The answer is not that you are broken, ungrateful, or too needy. Very often, it is a signal detection issue, and once you understand this, much of the confusion and pain begins to make sense. Think of your brain as having an internal receiver, like a radio, designed to pick up signals of care, safety, and connection. When someone expresses love through words, actions, or consistency, that signal is sent out. Ideally, the receiver picks it up and translates it into a felt sense of being loved. But not everyone's receiver is tuned the same way. For some people, the signal comes through clearly. Love is expressed and love is felt. The internal experience aligns with what is happening externally. For others, there is interference. The signal is real, but it arrives distorted, weakened, or difficult to trust. And for some, the signal barely registers at all because the receiver was never properly calibrated to recognize love in the first place. This miscalibration usually begins early in life. The brain's ability to recognize and feel love is not automatic. It develops through experience, especially in childhood. When a child receives consistent, responsive care, their nervous system learns that connection is safe, warmth is reliable, and love can be trusted. Their internal receiver is tuned accordingly. But when early relationships are inconsistent, conditional, neglectful, or emotionally confusing, the brain adapts differently. It learns that love can disappear, that closeness carries risk, and that dependence often leads to pain. Instead of tuning toward trust, the receiver is set toward protection, vigilance, doubt, emotional distance. This adaptation is not a conscious choice. It is a survival strategy. The brain keeps running these old settings long after the original environment has changed, and over time, this shows up in recognizable patterns. One common pattern is dismissal. In this case, expressions of love are minimized. Compliments are brushed off, kind words are discounted. They're just being polite, or they don't really mean it. The signal arrives, but it is emotionally neutralized before it can land. This pattern often develops when love in the past was unreliable or came with hidden costs. The brain learned not to take care at face value. Another pattern is distrust. Here, love is not dismissed, it is questioned. The brain looks for the catch. When someone expresses appreciation, instead of relief, there is suspicion. Why are they saying this? What do they want? How long will this last? This pattern often forms when love was present but unstable. The nervous system stays on alert, even in safe relationships. Love is never fully accepted. There is always a reservation. A third pattern is unworthiness. This one is deeply internal. Love is acknowledged, but it is not applied to the self. They love me, but if they really knew me, they wouldn't. The signal is received, but it is blocked by a belief that says, this doesn't belong to me. This pattern often develops when love was conditional, earned through performance, compliance, or achievement. One of the most painful aspects of this pattern is that more love does not fix it. In fact, increased love can intensify discomfort because it highlights the gap between what is being offered and what the person believes they deserve. None of these patterns are deliberate. By the time you feel distant, uneasy, or numb, your brain has already filtered the signal. This is why it can be so frustrating. You may genuinely want to feel loved. You may be in a healthy relationship, and still something inside resists. This also explains why reassurance fails. Reassurance may bring brief relief, but the doubt returns, not because the reassurance was false, but because the brain does not store it as reliable. Over time, this creates a loop. One person feels they are never giving enough, the other feels ashamed for needing reassurance again. If any of this feels familiar, the first step is not trying harder to feel loved. The first step is awareness without judgment. Begin noticing how your mind responds when love is offered. Does it dismiss? Does it doubt? Does it tell you that you are undeserving? Simply naming the pattern creates space. These filters usually feel like reality itself, not interpretations. But once you can say, "This is my old pattern showing up," you introduce a gap between reaction and response. And within that gap, change becomes possible. If you have ever felt unloved despite clear evidence to the contrary, you are not defective. You are not too much. You are working with a nervous system shaped by experiences you did not choose. And here is the most important truth. The same brain that learned to block love can learn to receive it. It begins by recognizing that the filter is not truth. It is an outdated setting. Learning to receive love is not about forcing feeling. It's about gently updating the system that decides what is safe to feel.